The mirror's reflection. In the quaint town of Ravenswood, nestled between misty hills and shadowed forests, stood a grand yet decrepit mansion known as Blackwood Manor. For decades, it had been abandoned, its once majestic facade now weathered and overgrown with ivy. The townsfolk spoke in hushed tones of the manor's dark past, a place where tragedy had struck and spirits were said to linger. Despite the warnings and local lore, Emily Carter, a young historian with a penchant for uncovering forgotten stories, was drawn to the manor. She had moved to Ravenswood to escape the bustle of the city, finding solace in the town's quiet charm. But the allure of Blackwood Manor, with its promise of hidden secrets, proved irresistible. Emily's research revealed that the manor had belonged to the Blackwood family, a wealthy and influential lineage in the late 1800s. The family's sudden and mysterious demise had fueled countless rumors, but no concrete evidence explained what had truly happened. Eager to delve deeper, Emily decided to explore the mansion herself, hoping to unearth clues and perhaps even write a book about its haunted history. On a crisp autumn morning, Emily packed her bag with a notebook, flashlight, camera, and some snacks, and set off for Blackwood Manor. The path to the mansion was overgrown and treacherous, but she felt a thrill of anticipation as the imposing structure came into view. Its tall, Gothic spires pierced the sky, and the large, cracked windows seemed to stare back at her like eyes filled with sorrow. The front door creaked ominously as Emily pushed it open, the sound echoing through the cavernous interior. Dust motes danced in the beams of sunlight that filtered through the grimy windows. The air was thick with the scent of decay and neglect, but Emily's curiosity outweighed her unease. She wandered through the grand foyer, her footsteps disturbing the silence. Portraits of stern-faced ancestors lined the walls, their gazes following her as she moved. As she explored further, she discovered rooms filled with antique furniture covered in white sheets, grand chandeliers hanging precariously from the ceiling, and ornate mirrors that reflected the gloom. In one of the upstairs bedrooms, Emily found a large, ornate mirror that immediately caught her attention. It stood nearly 7 feet tall, its gilded frame intricately carved with symbols she couldn't quite decipher. Unlike the other mirrors in the house, this one was spotless, its surface gleaming as if it had been recently polished. As she approached the mirror, Emily felt a strange sensation, a pull that drew her closer. She peered into the reflective surface and saw not just her own reflection but the room behind her as well. However, something was off. The room in the mirror seemed brighter, cleaner, and there were objects she didn't recognize, a vase of fresh flowers on the vanity, a neatly made bed, and a window showing a sunny garden instead of the overcast sky outside. Startled, Emily took a step back. Her heart raced as she tried to make sense of what she had seen. She looked around the room, confirming its current state of disrepair, then back at the mirror. The reflection remained unchanged, showing the pristine version of the room. Intrigued and unnerved, she decided to document her discovery. As she snapped photos and took notes, the temperature in the room seemed to drop. A chill ran down her spine, and she felt as though she were being watched. Ignoring her growing discomfort, Emily continued her investigation, determined to uncover the truth. Over the next few days, Emily visited the manor repeatedly, each time finding new anomalies in the mirror's reflection. Sometimes, she saw fleeting images of people, a woman in a Victorian gown, a child playing with a toy, a stern-looking man in a suit. The scenes appeared and vanished so quickly that she questioned her own sanity. One evening, as she sat in front of the mirror, studying it intently, the reflection began to change again. This time, the woman in the Victorian gown appeared more clearly. She seemed to be staring directly at Emily, her eyes filled with a mix of sadness and urgency. Emily felt a sudden compulsion to reach out and touch the mirror. As her fingers brushed the cold surface, the room around her seemed to blur, and she felt herself being pulled into the reflection. Panic surged through her, but before she could react, everything went black. When Emily regained consciousness, she found herself in the pristine version of the bedroom she had seen in the mirror. The air was warm, and the scent of fresh flowers filled her nostrils. She looked around, disoriented, and realized she was no longer in her own world. The door creaked open, and the woman in the Victorian gown entered the room. Up close, Emily could see that her beauty was marred by a look of deep sorrow. "Welcome, Emily," the woman said in a soft, melodic voice. "I have been waiting for you." Emily's heart raced. "Who are you? Where am I?" "My name is Eleanor Blackwood," the woman replied. "And you are in the world of the mirror, a place where the past and present intertwine. I need your help to break the curse that binds us here." Eleanor explained that she and her family had been trapped in the mirror world for over a century, victims of a dark ritual performed by her husband, Victor Blackwood. Obsessed with the occult and desperate for power, Victor had attempted to harness the mirror's magic, only to doom his family to an eternal existence within its reflection. "Victor's spirit still lingers, his malevolence keeping us imprisoned," Eleanor said. "You are the first person to see us and enter this world. You have the power to set us free." Emily felt a surge of sympathy for Eleanor and her family. "What do I need to do?" Eleanor handed her a small, ornate key. "This will unlock the study where Victor conducted his rituals. Destroy his journal and the artifacts he used, and the curse will be broken." Determined to help, Emily took the key and made her way to the study. The house in the mirror world was eerily quiet, the only sound the distant ticking of a grandfather clock. The study was a dark, foreboding room filled with occult symbols and strange artifacts. On the desk lay an old, leather-bound journal, its pages filled with Victor's twisted writings. Emily's hands trembled as she opened the journal and began to read. The words detailed Victor's descent into madness, his obsession with immortality, and the ritual that had gone horribly wrong. She found a passage describing how to break the curse, by destroying the journal and the mirror itself. As she read, a cold wind swept through the room, and the shadows seemed to come alive. The temperature dropped, and Emily felt a malevolent presence closing in on her. She grabbed the journal and the mirror's frame, determined to end the curse. Suddenly, the door slammed shut, and Victor's ghostly figure materialized before her. His eyes burned with hatred as he lunged at her, but Emily stood her ground. She hurled the journal into the fireplace, watching as the flames consumed it. Victor screamed in rage, his form flickering like a dying flame. With a final, desperate effort, Emily smashed the mirror's frame against the wall. The glass shattered into countless shards, each one reflecting a fragment of Victor's tormented face. As the mirror broke, a blinding light filled the room, and Emily felt herself being pulled back into her own world. She awoke on the floor of Blackwood Manor. The shattered remains of the mirror around her. The house was silent, but the oppressive atmosphere had lifted. She knew the curse had been broken. As she made her way out of the manor, she glanced back one last time. The grand old house, once a place of sorrow and darkness, now felt empty, its ghosts finally at rest. Emily left Ravenswood with a sense of closure, her experience at Blackwood Manor forever etched in her memory. Years later, Emily published her book, The Mirror's Reflection, The Haunted History of Blackwood Manor. It became a bestseller, captivating readers with its blend of historical intrigue and supernatural horror. But Emily knew the truth behind the story, that sometimes, the past reaches out through time, seeking redemption and release. And that in the quiet town of Ravenswood, the spirits of Blackwood Manor had found peace at last.